charge of the top deck by adjustment of a link span serving the main deck, and a 15-ton electric deck crane was also fitted. The Hawea and Wanaka had no difficulty in making a round trip every week. The ship built to replace the Hinemoa on the Lyttelton-Wellington passenger run was the Wahine. Completed in 1966 in Scotland, her life was a short one. Less than 2 years after her arrival, the 8,944-ton ship tragically sank during a rogue cyclone as she attempted to enter Wellington Harbour on the morning of the 10th of April 1968. Of the 733 crew and passengers on board, 51 lost their lives. This film shows her launching in Scotland.
At the Fairfield shipyard on Scotland's River Clyde, this is the birthday of a new ship. Built for the Union Steamship Company of New Zealand, Wahine, when completed, is a 22-knot, twin-screw turbo-electric vessel, nearly 500 feet in length and 10,000 gross tons. With accommodation for 920 passengers and drive-on facilities for more than 200 cars, Wahine is for overnight express service between Wellington and Lyttelton. Painters and joiners are putting the finishing touches to the stand for the guests on this, the most important day in the life of a ship, launch day. For most of the 700 men who have fashioned the graceful hull of this new inter-island liner from steel plates and bars, there is now a brief respite until the ship is afloat and berthed in the fitting-out basin, except for the shipwrights, busying themselves with the final preparation for the launch itself, which is their special responsibility. A ship is supported during the construction on a cradle of timber. Before launching, this must be all cleared away, piece by piece, so that eventually the ship is resting only on the two long, grease-covered launchways, down which she will slide smoothly into the water at the bidding of her sponsor. The white-painted timber poppets form a cradle to support the finely tapering fore end of the ship on the launchways. The circular opening in the hull is for the transverse bow propeller, which, with its counterpart at the stern, will help the master to maneuver with precision in harbor by giving the vessel a sideways push just when it is needed. The black-painted bow rudder, complementing the twin rudders at the stern, is another maneuvering aid, which should ensure that this ship will have no parking problem. A stabilizing system is also being installed for the comfort of the passengers. Immediately the ship is waterborne, the tugs will make fast the towing wires for bringing the ship under control and into the shipyard's fitting-out basin. This is one of the two propellers which converts the 18,000 horsepower of the 4 electric propulsion motors into the forward thrust, which gives the vessel her top speed of 22 knots. Around the propellers, some stager scaffolding still has to be dismantled and lifted away in the last busy hours before the launch, and it looks as though someone may get wet feet on the job before it's finished. In the background, an ore carrier slips upriver before traffic is halted for the event of the day. The foreman stager in his red helmet lends a hand to beat the clock on this last day of clearing the slipway. Meanwhile, the last of the timber is coming out from under the ship, over some of the bundles of heavy drag chains which are attached to the ship by check wires, and whose purpose is to slow the ship up as soon as she is afloat and prevent a collision with the quay wall on the other side of the river. The sweep of Wahine's graceful bow swells at the bottom into a bulbous forefoot to give optimum performance and seakeeping qualities. Her bow rudder, painted black, can again be clearly seen. Even on launch day, a break for dinner is in order. A welder pulls his cable on board. Foremen are responsible for checking off each job, programmed right up to the moment when the green light appears on the launch platform. The 2 square eyes are recesses within which, in due course, the anchors will be housed. The ship herself is dressed over all with bunting, which sets off the elegance of her trim lines. The all-important bottle of champagne, gaily decorated with owners' and builders' house flags, is placed on its cradle. The spectators, workers, families, and friends are in position, and all is ready for the arrival of the sponsor. Here she is, accompanied by Mr. McFarlane and the chairman of the Fairfield Company and his wife. In accordance with custom, the sponsor receives a bouquet from one of the shipyard's young apprentices. At this time, there is nothing for the shipyard officials and men to do but wait as the final 2 or 3 minutes tick away. A brief rehearsal for the press. At last, the great moment is at hand. I name this ship Wahine. May God bless her and all who sail in her. And the Wahine, well and truly christened, slides with a grace and poise befitting her Maori name down the launchways and into the River Clyde, which 40 years ago, from the same shipyard, received her famous predecessor, Ironji, for the Union Steamship Company. With a token courtesy to her sponsor, she is afloat. The poppets and other launchway material, its job done, breaking out and floating clear. The check wires become taut and pull the bundles of drag chains down the berth in a cloud of dust, bringing the ship to a standstill before she can run into danger across the river. The tugs begin to move toward the ship to pick up the 2 lines, which restore the ship, after her brief moment of freedom, into men's control. While the spectators excitedly swarm about, let's watch the events again from the other side of the river. The large rectangular opening in the stern of the ship is the drive-on entrance to the car deck, which will be closed by a hydraulically operated door when at sea. With a last look at the 2 launchways, greasy planks on which the Wahine slid to reach for the first time her natural element, let us conclude by honoring the shipwrights, whose skill has ensured yet another successful launch.
For most people today, the Wahine is probably the best-known New Zealand shipwreck, but there have been many others, and the country's coast is littered with the remains of ships, large and small, that have met premature ends. The final ship acquired for the Lyttelton to Wellington passenger ferry run was the 9,387-ton Rangatira. The service ended on 15th of September 1976.
3 p.m., 1500 hours, say 31st May 1969. Wahine glides away from her berth in Wellington Harbour on a significant maiden voyage from New Zealand to Australia.